Hi there and big welcome to a casual deck tech video for Nadu Winged Wisdom. Now let me explain, this is actually a cEDH YouTube channel where we mostly talk about the most competitive aspect of this format. And in a recent video I made called Should Nadu Be Banned? I talked about the problem of casual Nadu builds are very similar to competitive Nadu builds. And one thing a lot of people misunderstands is that cEDH players are not evil, we don't want to hurt the casual play groups. So this is more of a video to showcase casual players that your casual Nadu build is actually top tier, most likely cEDH level. For example, I do calculate tournament performance for various commanders entering into cEDH tournaments, and Nadu have entered so far in only 2 weeks 48 times. That's 48 different unique Nadu deck lists, and they have achieved an average win rate together of 35.32, which is honestly really good. Now the sample size here is very low, so we can't really say that that's a trustworthy result. But Nadu is showcasing an enormous promise. If you're absolutely new to this channel, this is the entire cEDH tier list, more or less. You can see they're up there in the top right. Cizay Red Alert captain at 27.19. That's a big difference to Nadu. This is that Cizay, she has 1,036 tournament entries and a very good promising win rate. She's potentially the best commander inside the entire format. Nadu has a better win rate, but a lot fewer tournament entries, so we will see over time if Nadu stays at that count. But still we're seeing some very promising result from that Simic bird. But the problem is that if casual players are building a cEDH Nadu build and bringing that into casual pods, then that is a problem. That's not what should be happening. So to prove a point, let's go to the EDH Top 16 website. And let's click on this, Yorman and Tigua. He got standing 3 wins, 2 losses, 2 draws, an average win rate of that specific tournament entry of 42%. And this is his build. This is the cEDH Nadu version. Now, if you're a casual player and you already have a Nadu build in front of you, pick it up and take a look at this build and compare it to yours and see how similar it is. Now, you might not be playing all of these specific cards, like Scoot Swarm might be in your deck list. You might have this one. You might have Sylvan Safekeeper. You might have Lotus Cobra. You probably have Seeker of Skybreaker and a Affetto Alchemist, but most likely you also have, if we scroll down, Shuko, Paradise Mantle, and Lightning Greaves. And I would wager that your most casual builds out there are probably kind of similar to this. Because we can all see why Lightning Greaves together with Nadu is really good. That is really good. It's literally one of the things that is making Nadu kinda busted, where whenever you're getting a creature, you can basically get 2 Thrasius activations kinda, which means that whenever you're generating a token, you're getting another set of attempts. Because it will continuously snowball. For example, you have this Springheart Nantuku. Whenever a land comes into play, you may pay 2 mana to get a token, what this is bestowed upon, or you may get just a simple 1/1 green insect creature token. Field of the Dead, probably an auto-include inside every casual Nadu build, and it is an auto-include in every cEDH Nadu build as well, because once again, you don't care about what kind of creature you have, you just want to have a huge creature count to fuel that into Lightning Greaves. So let's talk about how we are going to power down your Nadu build, making your Nadu into more of a casual build, more into a friendly zone, so to say, to avoid it getting banned. Let's begin with the untapper. So Seeker of Skybreaker is honestly too good for casual. This is more or less becoming 9 Nadu triggers in an entire turn cycle. If you only have Seeker of Skybreaker and Nadu in play, you're going to have literally 9 Nadu triggers in a turn cycle. That is an enormous amount of value, and that's an enormous amount of annoying. Now, it's not actually over the top, so to say. I can see other casual builds doing some crazy stuff, but in the end, it leads into something of too much running away with the game, kinda, potentially in casual. Even in casual. And this will apply for every kind of untapper you could basically think of, like, as long as you have a creature that can target itself infinitely, then you have a problem. Which naturally takes us to Lightning Greaves. Yes, this is also too good, potentially, inside Nadu, because you are going to snowball with this quite efficiently. Once you hit like a few critical massing creatures, the value from this is going to be too big. But also the trick in this is that you're fueling those landfalls into more creatures, which makes it continue and snowball forever. And that is where casual players would view Nadu annoying, but also where it just never ends. You're sitting there and playing solitary until you eventually win. This means that we should also talk about basically all kinds of equipments. For example, you have Shuko, which is +1 attack for 0 mana equip. Really bad in general, but inside Nadu it becomes busted because, yeah, you can actually see it here. Attached to target creature. Equipping is a target. Now I still think you could play Urza Saga inside casual, like finding your soldering, that's fine. But if you have Shuko inside your Nadu build, you're starting to approach that cEDH level of Nadu. Another card and concept you should really avoid, and I don't actually think a lot of casual players are doing this, but Hullbreaker Horror and some of these cards up there can or will go infinite with Nadu. You will have infinite mana. What you're doing here basically is tapping Soldering for 2 colorless, casting Mox Opal, returning Soldering back to your hand, tapping Mox Opal for some mana, casting Soldering for the colorless mana that Soldering generated, and return Mox Opal back to your hand. You're sitting there and gaining infinite mana, and then with the infinite mana, you're sitting there and doing the same thing but with creatures, because whenever Hullbreaker Horror targets something, Nadu triggers, and you draw a card or get that land. Which means that you have infinite mana and infinite card draw that would lead into whatever you want. And in casual in general, you shouldn't be aiming for combos in general. So anything that is like trying to assemble this is a no-go zone, kinda. You should also be a little bit careful about Displacer Kitten. This is touching that Paradox Engine problem, where you're sitting there and just durdling forever and accumulating enormous value, but it doesn't always lead into something. There's a lot of different Nadu resets. Anything that is making Nadu flicker will be a reset. So like return target creature to owner's hand, or return target creature from the game, return it to play, like what's the name? The 6 mana soulbound Deadeye Navigator 2 mana. That is going to reset Nadu, which will literally allow Lightning Greaves to reset and do the entire thing again. So any kind of reset, like Displacer Kitten, cast any whatever spell, bounce Nadu, all those creatures lose that ability, they regain that ability, and you can do it again forever. You should try to avoid that. Spellskite is another card you should be a little bit wary about, because it can become also a little bit dirtily. Now it's not something that is always going to do that, but change the target spell or ability to Spellskite. If someone is targeting anything and you activate Spellskite, whatever that anything is now going to target Spellskite, and this will generate another trigger. The thing is that this will usually die in that case, but it kinda depends. In the end, this is one of those cards that's like, yes, it is actually really good inside Nadu, and it can become kind of annoying inside casual, but it's not the same as the other cards I've currently showcased. This one, however, is something you probably should avoid. Sacrifice a land, target creature you control gains Shroud until end of turn. So this is not something you can do forever, but it's still something you can do quite a lot. So you can, by the way, you can target the same creature over and over because you can hold priority. You're activating this, targeting something, Nadu will trigger, that trigger will resolve before this, and if you flip into a land, you can sacrifice that land you flipped into to target the same creature again, which will mean that you can sit here and durdle quite a lot as with this creature as well. So maybe this is something you should avoid. All the cards I've kind of showcased for you right now are more or less auto-include inside cEDH Nadu. So if you're playing these inside your casual Nadu, you're more or less, once again, as I already mentioned, building something of a cEDH Nadu. But what should we replace it with? We kind of want to stay on theme on Nadu here. Landfall, targeting. The easy, simple answer are equipments that are similar to this version. Sword of the Animist, a beautiful casual card, a ramp card, a Voltron card, an attack focused card. Whenever a creature attacks, you may search your library for a basic land card, put it onto the battlefield tapped, then shuffle your library. It is not similar to Lightning Greaves because it costs 2 mana to equip, so you can sit there and just send it around to various creatures to generate Nadu triggers, and that is probably something very recommended to do, but it will not go infinite, or it will not just sit there and durdle forever, similar to how Lightning Greaves works. And it is helping you generate more lands, so it stays on theme with the Nadu concept. All kinds of equipments are basically fine as long as they have a mana cost, so you can durdle around with lots of different swords and create a really cool, potentially Voltron commander with Nadu, where you're generating value by equipping Nadu with various swords and shields and spears and armor. Or attach these to your tokens as well, will also work out fine. It will not durdle forever and it will be kinda cool. And in that regard, I have to say I highly recommend Sword of Feast and Famine. Whenever equipped creature deals combat damage to a player, that player discards a card, but then you untap all lands you control. So this is also perfect on the theme of that land focus build together with equip that is targeting your tokens. I do not think that token production inside Nadu is problematic. What is problematic is when you're trying to mass target all of your creatures. So you can have landfall triggers that are generating tokens, because in the end they are just 1/1s or something of the sort. Like Field of the Dead is a perfect casual card. I don't think that is something you shouldn't play in Nadu. I think this is something you should auto-include in all Nadu, both casual and cEDH. It all comes down to what you're doing with those tokens. If you're attaching equipment that costs mana to those tokens, it's probably fine. If you want to focus more heavily onto Field of the Dead, crop rotation is also fine. Sacrifice a land, search a library for a land, put it into play, perfect into the land strategy here. And there is actually a really cool trick that I actually like to do in casual with my Valakut. So Field of the Dead, World Shaper and Splendid Reclamation. You probably know what these does, but Excavation is a really cool card. It's a group hug card. Pay 1 mana, sacrifice a land, draw a card, any player may play this ability. So what you can do here with your Nadu build is that you're accumulating a lot of lands and then you're sacrificing them into Excavation, filling your graveyard with lots of lands, and then you dig, you're going to draw a lot of cards here, so you're going to eventually draw into either of these two, and as well they are creature tutors to find World Shaper, so to say, and then you get your World Shaper killed somehow, and boom, you get back all of your lands, and that is going to amass an enormous amount of zombies, and that could be kind of fun and kind of cool too. I don't think that creature tutors are bad inside casual. I think it's all fine. It all comes down to what you're finding with your tutors, so to say. I absolutely think that these two cards are perfect inside casual and you should be allowed to play them. Like, the One Ring is fine, it's cool, it draws cards, it all comes down to what those cards are doing, and it's not going like infinite. Now there are ways to make the One Ring reset and do it a little bit more, for example, School at Water's Edge, but it's more or less just a one-time use. Now sure, you can build upon it, but that's requiring more cards. The difference with this is that this is just Commander and Lightning Greaves, and in the end you have so many different variations to assemble this, but this is smaller. By the way, this School as Water Edge, untap target legendary permanent, can target your commander, generate a trigger, it's fine. What we're trying to aim here is removing the things that are just sitting there and durdling and doing it forever, but this is not doing that. This is just very big, very powerful, but it's a one-time thing. We should also talk about Retreat to Coralhelm. Landfall. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, choose one, untap or tap target creature, or scry one. This is fine. Like, you're mostly going to untap your mana dorks. With this, it gets very busted when you have these untap creature effects, because then it can kinda escalate into more. But as long as you're not playing these self-untap creatures, Retreat to Coral Helm is fine. If you're just targeting like a Bird of Paradise or your commander or your Scry 1, then fine. Not a problem. I hope this video have been giving you some understanding and pictures of what you should be trying to avoid for casual Nadu. The goal is basically not to get Nadu banned here and not to upset your playgroup. You don't want to come to your friends with an overpowered deck that is going to sit there and durdle forever and be annoying. And just trying to avoid bringing a very strong cEDH tournament build against casual players that are just having fun. But if you are playing cEDH, you know what to do. I've kinda highlighted the very key cards you should be playing if you wanna bring this to a tournament. Personally, I don't want Nadu to be banned. It's a very big discussion amongst various different players, what they think about this card. A lot of people really dislike it and a lot of people really like it. And so far I have to say I do like it. I think it's potentially fine. We will see over time how it performs with more tournament entries and such. If it reaches something like a 200 tournament entries and it keeps it 35% win rate, then yeah, I think it could be banned because of like it's looking like an overpowered commander compared to everyone else. But if the win rate starts to fall down to something around 25%, then it's definitely going to be fine, in cEDH even. In any case guys, thank you so much for watching and I hope you got something out of this on how to perform and improve your build. By the way, if you have a problem with someone playing Nadu inside casual, feel free to share this video. Remember this, casual players, communication is key. You can always, I want to repeat, always ask another casual player, can you please power down? Your deck is just too good. That is the best way to just control your preferred player experience and just control the power level in general. I don't think I can stress that enough. Take care guys, I'll see you in the next one.